Look, I get it. You are tired of high-tier War Thunder air realistic battles. Whether you're running into Pulse Doppler AIM-7s, running into AIM-54s, or running into AIM-120s, there is always some type of radar missile to put you in the dirt. But what if I told you about a secret technique? One that the War Thunder masses don't want you to know. But in my infinite wisdom, I've come up with an even better strategy. A strategy that is instantly engaging whether you sit on the deck or climb. A high-risk, high-reward strategy that is definitely not just me coping about trying to find ways to have fun in this game. All logic dictates that you should stick with your team and fly to the left. But that's the sheep mentality. I would like to introduce to you, flying to the right. You see, I have a lot of problems with top-tier air RB right now. It feels like nowadays, with how strong missiles are and how accessible top tier is, while level 17 Tomcat Temi is not going to be very good and consistent at the game, the missiles do so much of the work nowadays that there's always still a chance that he's able to get a kill on even the best player on the enemy team at that time. I mean, this is a good thing for new players trying to get into War Thunder, as it really sucks to try and get into a game where you just get punished at every attempt to play. But as somebody with 4,000 hours in this game and a content creator, it really takes the wind out from under my wings when half the people I'm shooting at also have like 3 or 4 different people shooting at them as well. That's why I've decided from now on, I'm flying right every time I come off of the runway. I'm taking the team component out of my gameplay. Well, sort of. This strategy definitely works best in a squad, but that goes for most strategies in War Thunder, which is why you'll see me squatted up with the same couple people in most of these clips. Now, unfortunately, I have this need for some reason to play the fastest plane between everybody I'm playing with, so a lot of times, this put me into the role of the Wild Weasel. Now, for those of you who aren't well versed in your suppression of enemy air defense history, the Wild Weasels were the squadrons in charge of being bait and drawing in enemy fire. In real life, these were usually surface-to-air missile sites, but in War Thunder, I'm taking this idea and applying it to all the enemies on the enemy team that fly left off of their runway. Now, if you're following in my footsteps of the Flying Right Club, but you're playing alone, now is a very good time to verse yourself in how to defend incoming missiles, especially when identifying what type of missile is flying at you can mean life or death. So let's run through a little crash course. You see that big green circle with all the little tick marks on it? That's your radar warning receiver. And if that thing starts beeping and going crazy, you have a radar missile coming at you. Please use your chaff. Generally, my ratio of flares to chaff that I take right now is 2 chaff for every 1 flare. Hey, what's up? Editing PE here. As of the time of recording, Gaijin has actually managed to break chaff. I don't know how they did it, but it is basically non-existent now. I hope this is a bug and that Gaijin fixes it soon, but yeah, I just wanted to let you guys know. In general, radar missiles require a lot more countermeasures to defeat at close range, so I like to carry extra chaff on me. Alternatively, you can fly an inch from scraping your belly on the ground, but I hope you have really good control of your aircraft. Overall, these are probably going to be the scariest missiles that you can run into, so just make sure you remember your fundamentals of radar missile defense. Make sure you fly 90 degrees relative to the enemy missile coming in, and the more chaff you feel comfortable dropping, the better. Otherwise, every other missile you're going to see is an infrared missile. But still, being able to identify what type of IRCCM a missile might have just based off of the trail it leaves is important to learn. In general, if a missile isn't leaving a smoke trail, it means it has suspension IRCCM, so you're going to want to mix up your maneuvers while you're flaring. The only exception to this is the AIM-9LI, which leaves a smoke trail, but that's only on the F-4F ice, and if you die to an F-4F ice, that's probably on you to begin with. Now, against the R-73 and Magic 2's IRCCM, you want to make a flare pattern that starts from your airplane and slowly moves away from it. But with how close these missiles can be launched to your aircraft, the biggest counterplay is really just not getting that close in the first place if you can. Against missiles that don't have IRCCM, if you're playing at a little bit lower BRs, then just chuck them out however you want. For all of these IR missiles though, please just make sure to turn your afterburner off. That is the #1 way to make all of your efforts mean nothing. Okay, but let's say you actually have friends and you convinced one to be bait for you. That means it is your job to play cleanup and get them out of the sticky situation. Usually, you have to deal with at least 3 people minimum, and you better have a very spammable missile kit if you're going to do this. Because the faster that you can beat this part of the enemy team, the faster you can start collapsing on the flank on the rest of the enemy team. And bonus points to you if you're able to save the squad mate that goes out there and draws all their attention. I can't count the number of clips that I have right now where I fly out, die after killing like 1 person, but the rest of my squad ends up sweeping like 5 or 6 people. This is also, in my opinion, the most effective way to use top-tier Russian equipment right now. The R-77, with its 50 Gs of maneuverability, in combination with a helmet-mounted display letting you point it anywhere, makes it a very good contender to just be spammed off one after another. This really helps mitigate the problem where the R-77 is flying with 4 air brakes instead of fins, because let's be real, the AMRAAM is going to beat the R-77 in terms of range every day of the week. But if you're flying on the side of the map the enemy team isn't even expecting you to pop up from, you can get close enough for these things to actually be really good. But really, any active radar homing missile works perfectly for this strategy because you just want missiles that can be fired dementia style. Fire and forget. Alternatively, when playing planes with semi-active radar homing missiles, I like to climb up high just a little bit below the contrails, which is about 5,000 meters give or take, and shoot missiles at people's RWR blind spots. I decided to take out the Tornado because, first of all, for some reason I already like this plane, I don't know why. But second of all, it has a really good kit for this style of gameplay. It's definitely not the type of plane that wants to be seen and targeted, but you do have a phenomenal missile kit. The Skyflash Super Temps are very well above average missiles, and having access to 4 AIM-9Ls at the battle rating it's at is just outright silly. Other jets at this early pulse Doppler battle rating that I recommend are the MiG-23 ML family and any F-4 Phantom with pulse Doppler. The Phantom family mostly has the same strengths and weaknesses as the Tornado, and with the MiG-23s, you get to shoot R-24Ts down at people, which is basically never expected because IR missiles don't give launch warnings, and if you're unspotted up in the clouds, what are they gonna do about it? And for all of you who just got your shiny new Tomcats from the event, it's really good at this too. The Fakura 90 missile has some of, if not the best acceleration in the game. Like, it's better than the R-27ER if I remember correctly. So when you drop them from an angle that people aren't really expecting, it can cause a lot of devastation. The biggest problem with that though is that in those early Tomcats, you only have 60 countermeasures to work with, which means that if you don't budget your countermeasure usage wisely, you might end up finding yourself with a missile shot at you that you have no ability to decoy. With everything I've given you, I hope that I at least convince some of you to partake in Going Right Gaming. If one of you guys ever sees me in game in a high-tier jet match, I would be more than honored to go right with you. If you see me on the enemy team though, no you didn't, ignore that, I totally will not be going right. Please fly into my missiles like a paid actor. Anyway, for those of you who watched through the full video, I just want to thank you. You guys are the reason that I can keep posting videos despite my months-long hibernations. It really wasn't the plan for my channel to end up like this, but my life has become so busy in the past couple years that I've really set YouTube on the back burner. For the people who want to see more videos, I can confirm that I am working on the active radar homing missile tier list. There's just a few loose ends I'm really waiting to wrap up. Mainly on the dev server, the Fakura 90 right now is getting a massive buff. I want to get a little bit more experience with the new Fakura 90 before I really definitively place it. I want this to be my most solid tier list yet. But overall, that's all for this video. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.